What's going on, guys? This is Behind the Line, and today's podcast is going to be a little bit different. Why? Because it's going to be about
my sexy husband.
there you go. We got this one right this time. So, why? Because I decided to do this a little bit different. I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit more about this podcast and more about everything involving this podcast and why I decided to start it and how you can benefit from it. There you go. That sounded pretty legit. So, let's start with the name Behind the Line. So Behind the Line, basically, I was thinking one day, I was like, I want to start a podcast, but I want to do F&B, food and beverage. I actually work in the food and beverage field, so I wanted to go ahead and start something. So I decided to start thinking, what is something that we call in the kitchen? By the way, I'm a chef, so that can kind of give you a little background of what my background is. So I decided, you know what? We're in a kitchen, the actual kitchen, we call it a line. So all the chefs and the cooks are behind the line, cooking and getting the food out to the people. So that is the reason why I decided to call it Behind the Line. It's legit, and I think that the legitness, and I think it is clever. There you go. Thank you, babe. So sorry, excuse me. So myself decided to, you know what? I want to do a podcast that I can help others get their story across. Why? Because it is very easy for you to go to a place, your favorite burger spot, your favorite tacos place, and you enjoy that place as much as anything, your favorite place in the world where you go every single week. If somebody says, hey, I want to go to a good taco spot, you already automatically hit that name in your head and you're like, listen, you got to hit this spot up because they're legit tacos or a legit burger, whatever the case you might like, that's your favorite on the daily basis. So I decided to, you know what, it is different. Why? Because I want to tell their story. Yes, you can see a post and you can kind of see the food they offer in this location, the drinks, whatever product that they're selling from this place or particular location, but you don't know their story. And what do I mean by this? If you know somebody's story and how hard they work to open up a business, you will appreciate it more because you understand how hard it was for this person to keep the lights on, pay the rent of that location, and work hard to be able to give you a good product where you're going to go ahead and sit down and you're going to tell the world, this is my favorite spot to go to. So I decided, you know what? Let's tell their story. Let's go ahead and get these people on so we can go ahead and say, hey, listen, yeah, you enjoy this place, but look how much this person, the owner, the employees, the investors had to put in, how much work they had to put in to be able to get this place up and running. And it's not easy. Now, when I mean by not easy, a little background story. When I was 18, I decided to open my own food truck. Nobody told me anything. Nobody got me ready. I decided, you know what, this is my dream of doing. I'm going to go ahead and just close my eyes and let's get this done. Well, COVID hit, and you're gonna hear me a lot through the podcast talk about what happened to me in during COVID. You know, I decided to open up in July, or I purchased my food truck in July. November, December kind of came around, and then January 2020 closed. So everything was closed. Everybody was inside. There was really nothing else to do but wait. And we all know how that story went. We waited and waited and waited and waited and waited until we opened back up. But guess what? There still needed to be payments being made. There still needed to be, I lived in an apartment, so I couldn't keep my food truck outside. The HOA would have kicked me out. So I still had to pay rent where I had to place a little food truck for a whole. And I was 18 years old. I don't come from a wealthy family, so I didn't have money laying around to say, you know what, let me keep paying the rent, let me keep paying the insurances, let me keep paying all this stuff for me to be able to get this done. So I decided, you know what, let's just put a pause, and we are gonna go ahead and revisit this later on. Now, that place is called Curramba, or my food truck was called Curramba. I'm originally from Colombia. If you're from Colombia and you know what Curramba is, it's basically what we call Barranquilla, which is the city where I grew up. And the food that we served was basically from there, commonly known as fast food or commonly known as fritos if you're from Colombia. So we used to sell typically arepa de huevo, empanada, arepa rellena. So what we did is that we focus on making everything just how you would have it back then. Also, caribañolas. If you're from Colombia, you will know what caribañolas are. And if you're not from Colombia, look it up. It's amazing yuca stuffed pastry, and not pastry, similar to an empanada. So we opened up and it went amazing. The first couple of months or the first 2 months that we opened up, yeah, it was hard work. Keep in mind, I was working a full time, I was going to school, and I opened up my business. So I can be happy and say, listen, I worked hard to open this place up. When somebody tells you I opened this up from the ground up, I can say, hey, listen, I'm there with you. I know what it is, I know what you went through, but you definitely learn of everything, how to do things better, how to operate, with more sense of understanding how the market goes, and also how to open a business. Nobody, if you out there want to open a business, do your research. Or the best thing I can say is not even do your research. Well, yeah, do your research, but go to a business owner, knock on the door and ask, hey, listen, how did you open this business? And don't be afraid, because one of the things somebody told me was, yeah, there's a bunch of Colombian places here, but the sun shines everywhere. So if you're afraid to open up a business, listen, everybody doesn't. All the people who have businesses, they have been able to do it. Now you need to be motivated, because if you listen to Behind the Line, link is underneath or on my in my bio. So if you listen to these podcasts, you're going to be able to understand people who have gone through it all. I mean, people who have left their jobs to be able to follow their dreams, to be able to get something up and running. And this is not just themselves. This is people who have families that their families rely on. Um, so it's not easy. It is a very scary step to make. But I think that if you don't take those steps, if you don't take the risks, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, this sounds so okay," take the risk. It's more than that. But listen to one of these podcasts, and you're going to understand how these people started, just like you want to start from nothing. They were able to get it. There's 1,000 walls that are going to come up in your way, but it's all about going through those walls. It's all about understanding what you need to do and be motivated. And I can tell you myself, I'm not one of those people where I'm always motivated, and my wife can probably say in the comments, there's times where after I open up a second business, and I have a business myself right now as well, there's days when I feel, listen, this is insane. This is too much. I just want to give up. But you always need those people behind you to let you know, don't give up. You already put in so much time, so much effort. You're not trying to lose this. You're not trying to lose your how do I say, your dreams. Because at the end of the day, my dreams is still open up another place and still go ahead and offer what I in my dream, in my idea was to be able to open this food truck. And I'm not saying it's easy. And kudos to everybody who has a food truck, because a lot of people don't know that when you open up a food truck, sometimes it's even more expensive than opening up a location. And why? Because nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that when you open up a food truck, you still got to pay rent. Where you're going to go ahead and put the food truck. You can't just go on the side of I-95 and just post up and be like, hey, tacos right here. Why? Because there's regulations, there's laws, which is great, because at the end of the day, it is a tough market, and you don't want, to be saturated with things that could get people sick because of not following food protocols, and health inspections. So make sure you do your research when you opening a food truck, and kudos to everybody who has a food truck. And also, if you want to be on this podcast and you want to tell the people your story, yo, hit me up. Yo, hit me up. Send me a DM. Do something, dog. Let's get that story up. So back to the story. So yeah, so when we opened up the food truck, it was amazing. Let me tell you, listen, the first month, the first time we opened, obviously friends and family, but second time we opened up, and keep in mind, I only opened Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days out of the week. Why? I still went to school. I believe I was going to school only one day out of the week, and I still worked my full-time job, which it was or is a lot of hours throughout the day. So everybody who works in this industry, food and beverage, understands that you go in at a certain time, but you don't know what time you're gonna get out, especially if you are a chef. And this podcast, I wanted to help others. Like I said at the beginning, I want to get the story of people across. Sorry, to be able to understand, for you be able to sit down and watch somebody that you might know, that you might see in the green market, that you might go to this place on the daily basis, but you really didn't know what they went through to be able to keep offering your favorite items. So I decided to open this podcast. So far, we have interviewed amazing people, and so far, every single story is different, and every single story motivates me to keep pushing every single day. Now, this sounds like a motivational video. I feel like the lights need to be dimmed down, and for me to be like, "Yo, you can do it." But is the reality. You can get things done. You can go ahead and open up your own business and get things out that, your dream of owning your own business. I think a lot of people want to be their own boss, but they're afraid, or maybe they don't know where to start. So in this podcast, we're going to go ahead and talk about um, everything involving opening their business. So if you know, or you're watching somebody that I'm interviewing and that is a business that you want to open, well, now you have the chance to be able to see how this person had to go through, what mistakes they made, what they needed to get done to be able to open this business. And you can learn from it. And also, you can motivate yourself. You can also support your local business. All right. So, what you got to tell the people, this video is being sponsored by myself. Why? Once again, because we don't got any sponsors, bro. So, if you're trying to sponsor this video, hit me up. So, back to the video. I still look at the photos and I still look at everything, the whole process of me opening a food truck. And I tell myself, listen, you learn a lot. I can tell you that I can definitely say, listen, there's a couple things that I would not do again in the process of opening that business. But there's a couple things that I would do a lot better now, knowing that how to do things or how to proceed with certain situations that I didn't do well, in the sense of the stress and the aspect of knowing where to get your fundings, knowing how to go ahead and get fundings and buy things in a better way and not shoot yourself in the foot. And this is why I wanted to interview business owners, or mainly in the food and beverage world, because it is my world. I live it every single day. I know what people go through. And if you do not know, opening a restaurant or opening a I wouldn't say a bar because liquor makes a lot of money, but if you're opening a location that has food, or a restaurant, whatever the case is, food truck, understand that the margins are very low. Understand that food costs. There's something called food costs, basically. So you need to know that these people are not making thousands of dollars when you see a line, and this is why I want to go ahead and promote the small businesses in the area and be able to tell their stories. So next time you go there, you're not just enjoying their meal or the food that they're providing or they're selling. You're actually enjoying a little piece of their history or their story or their background. And it kind of connects you with the owner. It kind of connects you where you know that this person had to sacrifice so much in their life to be able to keep this business open. Where next time you go there and you're like, hey, so and so, their name, and you kind of feel that connection where, like, now you know that you're supporting local businesses. And that is the whole point of this. We have been recording with a lot of our friends and people who we have reached out to. But also, listen, if you're watching this, if you're hearing this right now, and you yourself have a business, and yeah, I do food and beverage world because that's what I know. But if you have a business and you want to tell your story, because at the end of the day, we are all pushing to make things happen. So hit me up, shoot me a DM, and we can go ahead and set something up where we can go ahead and sit down. Let's have a conversation. Let's tell the world your story. Let's tell the people what you're about, what your family's about. Because at the end of the day, your friends, your family, your close relatives, they're the ones who are right there behind you, helping you out. And like I said, it is a you versus you, basically. It's you being able to push and get things done the proper way for you to get your business and get that guala. Besides the guala, obviously, now the stories that you're going to be hearing are going to be about people that have been killing it. It's going to be about people who have been doing amazing and they have overcome their issues. You're going to hear people that moved to another country to be able to get to be able to learn. You're going to hear about people moving states. You're going to hear about people sacrificing everything they have and also their family putting in the work, putting in the time, and also being able to provide a product that for you might think is a taco, or you might think it's a tortilla, or you might think it's a bread, or you might think it's just, a cake or whatever the case is. But to them, it's something that they have killed themselves to be able to get this out. And it's a little story of themselves. So stay tuned. This is something I wanted to get, and trust me, I wanted to do this video. I wanted this video to be the first one, but honestly, social media is pretty hard. Not hard, but you always got to get content. So I decided to get this video out and about, and I was like, you know what? I got to sit down. I got to have a conversation with myself and the camera, the light, my dog, and my wife, and be able to get this video or intro video that I never got to do, be able to get it going and tell why I decided to open this podcast. This is Behind the Line. There's going to be now my logo is going to pop up with a little bit of music. Just stay tuned. It's like 10 seconds. Just watch it. That's it. Hey, by the way, like, subscribe. What else? Click that notification button because we release videos every Saturday. Trying to. Because listen, I still got a full-time job. I still own my own business. I got to walk my dog. And I got to go eat ice cream with the wife. So